Recording in progress.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Right, welcome to the MicroBook Magic Season 6 Author Showcase. I'm Vicky Quinn Fraser of Moxie Books, and I'm really excited because for the past 8 weeks, 7 writers have taken their brilliant book ideas. They have refined them, they have played with them, and they have turned these ideas into an absolutely beautiful first draft. It has been my absolute pleasure and pride to watch these people create something that I know they're going to be so proud of, and I really can't wait to add your books to my MicroBook Magic bookshelf. So, today we're going to meet each of these authors and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves, why they wrote their books, and then they're going to read a short piece from their book to whet your appetite about what's coming. Afterwards, there'll be a little bit of time for a Q&A if you have any questions for any of the MicroBook Magicians. Please do use the chat box freely throughout. I would love it if you would pop in there anything that resonates with you as you hear it. The writers will find this really useful later, and so will I. And please share any compliments as well, because writing a book is really hard. It's really brave. Publishing it is really brave, and reading part of it aloud in public is even braver. So if you love what you are hearing here today, please tell us in the chat box, tell us straight away, because we all are very fragile, writers are, and we like to hear how wonderful we are as much as possible. So I say that for myself. These guys are great. I'm a fragile little snowflake. So if you have questions for any of the writers at any time, please drop them into the chat box and we will answer them at the end. And if you can preface those questions with question in capital letters, that will make it a lot easier to find it. So I am just going to run through real quick the order that we're going in today, just so that if you are here to watch a specific person, you'll know when to pay attention properly and like put things into the comments. So we're going to start with Janine Coombs at about 3:40 p.m. And we're going to be followed. We're going to have like a 10-minute slot, give or take, for everybody. So we're going to have Janine followed by Joe McKay. Is it McKay or Mackay? I should have checked that.
It's Mackay.
Mackay.
Thank you for checking.
You are so welcome. I should have checked before. Joe Mackay. It's because you never say hi, Joe Mackay, when you're welcoming somebody into a room. Followed by Laura Otto, and then followed by Misty Santos, who cannot be here with us live today because I think she's on a plane, but she has sent her digital self, so I will be sharing that. Although me and technology, who knows? Followed by Trisha Nichols, then Laura Chamberlain, then Erin Flaxman. And I will then close with a few closing remarks, and then we'll have a little Q&A if there are indeed any questions. And then we will all shuffle off by 5:30 p.m. at the latest, 5:30 p.m. GMT. I don't know what it is elsewhere. So without further ado, can everyone hear me for a start? Should have checked that right at the beginning. Lovely. Okay. Right then, I am going to get rid of that little AI bot and spotlight Janine and ask you to unmute in a second. So Janine Coombs is a marketing coach and an offer positioning expert for coach-shaped people. And I love that description because I am a coach-shaped person. And I was always like, am I a coach? Am I a mentor? Who knows? A bit of both. Janine has worked with big brands like EE, Orange, and Europcar. She has a business degree, a postgraduate marketing diploma, and regularly speaks on stages like Atomicon, which is so cool. Atomicon stage is so cool. You Are the Media and Marketed Live. Janine has written The Easy Yes, how to get easier sales for your coaching services without resorting to sleazy tactics. We love a non-sleazy tactic. And as a coach-shaped person, I'm very much looking forward to reading the entire book in its proper book form. So Janine, could you tell us a little bit about why you're writing this book and then read from your manuscript, please?
Yes, I mean, I might be giving some spoilers away for what I'm going to read by saying why I wrote the book, but it's because I love coaches so much and I want to help them, and I've come across something that I think is really helpful, and it feels fresh.
Love a little bit of freshness.
I'll dive in, shall I?
Please do.
Little cough. So this is the preface. Were you encouraged to be yourself when you were a child? I wasn't. I don't think many people were in the 80s. Or now? The amount of times I got told, Janine, stop showing off, the message came through that being 100% myself was not acceptable. My teens and 20s passed in a blur of following the path I thought I should follow. A-levels, university, marketing job in a big corporate. I thought I was doing pretty well for myself, but I wasn't really being me. How can you be happy when you're not truly being yourself? You can't. And then in my 40s, I started a business and got a coach. I'm now in the privileged position of having been coached by all sorts of coaches. The result? I feel like the Janine I was in primary school when I felt like I could take on the world and being me was the absolute best thing in the world. And being coached was that road back to being me again. And that's why I love working with coaches so much. I know how much good you're doing in the world. So if I can help you help more people, then I'm making the world a better place and enabling other people to find the path back to who they really are that might have been lost along the way. Are you a coach-shaped person? A phrase you'll hear me use often is coach-shaped person, and this is why. The ICF trains coaches to be totally client-focused. A lot of accreditation bodies do. Pure coaching involves not imparting anything of yourself into the coaching conversations. All answers are to be drawn carefully from the client. They have the ability to make their own decisions already inside them. This is all very wonderful, and I agree with this empowering the client to make their own decisions thing. But you can't coach knowledge. And I've lost my place. Hang on.
It's okay.
Caller, wait, please wait. But you can't coach knowledge. And most of my clients have some insights and recommendations to share. So my clients tend to be coaches with a dollop of consulting or mentoring stirred in because sometimes they have advice to give or opinions. And I'm a consultant with a heavy splash of coach and mentor sprinkles. I don't just give advice. I notice self-sabotage. I help clients spot and change unhelpful thought patterns. But my heartland is marketing strategy. Coach-shaped person is the best term I could think of that covers people who like the label coach and those who don't. Who am I to write this book? Because I've been there, and it's so frustrating to not know why something isn't working, to suddenly get some sales and not know how to replicate it. Sales and marketing is hard, harder when it feels like you're selling yourself because you're working so closely with people. But you're not selling yourself, you're selling the outcome your clients want. This book will help you do more of that. The introduction. Have you ever had a wonderful sales call with a prospective client, only for them to change their minds without any real explanation? Have you launched a podcast, written blogs, or created videos, only to realize you're still getting more clients through word of mouth? If you nodded yes to any of those things, then you're not alone. I've been through it. And when I start working with clients, these are the types of things they're struggling with too. They're spending a lot of time on marketing, not a lot to show for it. If you're picking up this book, you're probably a good person. You started coaching to help people in some way and not to spend your days marketing and selling. You want to change people's lives for the better. If you could wave a magic wand and help everyone in the world all at the same time, you'd be waggling that bugger like a mofo. And therein lies the paradox of trying to run a business when you're a good-hearted, coach-shaped person. People need to be ready for coaching, so you don't want to be pushy. But you need to know, people need to know that you're all there to help, so you need to tell people about it. But you don't want to be spammy or salesy, and round the merry-go-round goes. This book invites you to step off a while, sit back, get some perspective, and have a gander at a nifty tool that I came up with to help my clients work out where to focus their efforts. Using the easy yes model, you'll be able to see why some clients seem keen, but then trot off and work with a different coach. And you'll also be able to spot the gaps in your own content marketing that you can then fill and make easier sales ethically. Sometimes the answer lies in how you're positioning what you do. More on this in chapter 6. Other times it's about whether they believe that you can help them. Chapter 3. And often it's more about the prospective client themselves. What do they think they need? Do they even believe that what you do can help them? Chapter 1. The thing about humans is we're complex creatures. So usually it's a mix of all these things that add up to why someone buys and why someone else won't. It's that combination that will unlock an easy yes from people. And that's what this book is going to help you with. It combines several strands of buyer behavior together and put you back in the driver's seat so that you can see what's going on, why some things are working and why some things aren't, and more importantly, to arm you with the insight you need to streamline your marketing efforts so that you'll be able to get the easiest yeses of your business ever. You shouldn't need to run yourself ragged trying to get clients, and you don't need to doubt yourself every time you get a no. Let's dive in.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Janine. I'm really excited about this book coming out because I think everybody wants a bit of an easier yes when it comes to selling because nobody really enjoys it. Claire says, amazing, I already want to read it. So yay, that's awesome. How are you feeling about your book now you have read that out loud to us?
Good. Like, I think with the intro's tricky, isn't it? I think the main body of the book was reasonably easy for me to write because I've kind of thought it all through before, but the intro is really hard. So getting that down, like I can already see where I want to edit it, and I keep editing it every time I read it out. So it's been very helpful and I'm feeling very good. Thank you.
Good. I'm really pleased because you've all worked so hard on this and that was beautifully read and beautifully presented. So thank you. Alien has said, sounds great, Janine. The intro was definitely a hook. And yes, it was. And hands from Laura Otto. Yay. Thanks, Janine. Going to take the spotlight off you. And we are going to move on to Mr. Joe Mackay, who is a business coach helping solopreneurs to grow a business they love. He is also an Australian living in France and the living embodiment of the title of his book, which is very, very cool. And his book is called What Would You Do If You Weren't Scared? And it's all about what might happen if you weren't scared. And I absolutely love the whole premise of it. So, Joe, would you like to unmute? I'm going to spotlight you and tell us what made you write this book, and then we would love to hear your excerpt of your manuscript, please.
Yeah. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you, Vicky, for just undying positivity over the last 8 weeks, getting us to the starting line, or I guess wherever this part of the process is in writing and publishing a book. It's been a massive help. So I'm very grateful. Thank you. I wrote this book, or I'm writing this book, because it's not an exaggeration to say that this question changed my life, and I guess the question and then the work and the thought process and the actions I've taken since, asking myself this big question a couple of years ago has changed my life. So I want to share that with more people.
Amazing. I love that. So without further ado, would you like to dive in?
Joe, some questions simply aren't worth asking. My dad said this to me in my early 20s. I don't remember the exact moment or what sparked it, but his words lodged themselves in my brain. I didn't respond at the time, but the idea clashed with something fundamental inside me. The thought that my curiosity should have limits, that I should avoid certain questions out of fear or discomfort, just felt wrong. In that moment, I made a decision. Run an experiment to prove him right or wrong. On my journey to ask as many questions as possible, I've found some pretty great ones. In my experience, every question is worth asking, whether to yourself, to someone else, or to many other people. But one question has consistently risen above the rest. It's helped me get unstuck, stay focused, and push forward when things felt impossible. It's a question that's shaped my life, a question worth asking even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. What would I do if I wasn't scared? I believe this question unlocks the secrets of the universe. From now on, I'll refer to it as the big question. I first asked myself the big question on November 25th, 2022. I was unenthusiastically employed, rudderless, and had just become a dad for the second time. And my journaled response felt like a pipe dream at the time. Here's what I wrote. If I wasn't scared, I'd quit my job and work full-time at trying to find writing or ghostwriting clients on LinkedIn. I'd start my own business and see where it takes me. This pipe dream became my compass. I spent 12 months building my ghostwriting business on evenings and weekends. I felt a sense of purpose again. In November 2023, my boss offered me a big promotion, a step up to general manager. It forced me to think about my future, where I'd be in 2, 3 or 4 years. And the big question became my decision-making filter for life's defining moments. I revisited my answer from a year earlier and realised something crucial. Staying on my current path would only take me further from where I truly wanted to be. I handed in my notice the next week. Since then, I've built the business I dreamed about. My family and I moved from Australia to France to experience a new culture and give our kids the gift of a second language. We've gained the financial freedom for my wife to pursue her passion as an artist, and we now enjoy more quality family time than ever before. Skeptical? That's fair enough. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. I'm not trying to put a Tony Robbins spin on the world. I haven't found eternal peace. I still face hard times, self-doubt, pain, and imposter syndrome regularly. I still get angry and feel lost. But more than ever before, I have a mental safety net. I have a compass to help me know where to go next. Asking myself the big question helped me find my way forward. And I've written this book to help you do the same. Together, we'll tackle the fears, biases, and barriers that hold us back and explore how one powerful question can transform your mindset and open new doors.
Yay. Love that. Thank you so much, Joe. I love this so much because your path into entrepreneurship is so wildly different from mine. And it's really lovely to hear that somebody had a plan and then made it happen. I just think that's very cool and very empowering. So thank you so much for that. Claire says, love your vulnerability and honesty, Joe. Me too. Thank you for the lovely things that you said at the beginning. Thank you for all that you've put into this group as well. So how do you feel about your book now that you've read it, now that you've read this bit?
Yeah, it feels real. It feels like I've got to keep going, I guess, and get it published, put it out there into the world. So I think the showcase is a great idea, and thanks for pushing us through the nerves.
You are so welcome. This is so fun because everybody is always very nervous before the showcase, and I know how powerful it is, and also it's an accountability thing because you've actually read it out loud now, and like you say, you kind of feel like you have to write it. So yeah, we've got some lovely comments in the chat box. Wow, and Aileen says, I love this, Joe, very listenable and imagine readable too. That was incredible, Joe. This will be a great book for overcoming life boulders. Love it. Me too. Thank you. Thanks so much, Joe. That was awesome. I'm going to unspotlight you and have a tiny intermission to say, please do share your links and your social media handles in the chat, because I know a couple of people have already asked for pre-order links, and Janine's popped hers in there. So if you've got a pre-order link, then wang it in the chat box, please. And if you don't have a pre-order link yet, put your social media handles in the chat box if you're happy to share them, or any kind of contact information that you're happy to share, because I want this to be a networking opportunity. I hate that word. Connection opportunity as well. Louise is sitting there laughing at me because she does networking and I don't. So yes, that was lovely. Thanks everyone. Yeah, we've got Top Notch Joe, beautifully read, and I'm desperate to read it now. Yeah, same Z's. Okay. Next up, we are going to have Laura Otto. Laura is an artist, gardener, and permaculture designer. She is a devoted mom, wife, daughter, friend, writer of words, and wearer of very many hats, which I love. Laura is writing a brilliant book for ADHDers like me who want to, I say declutter, but I feel like it's becoming a little bit more than that. I'm really excited about this book because Laura comes at the whole thing from a different angle than a lot of people, and I love that. I'm very excited about this book. So, Laura, would you like to unmute and tell us a little bit about why you're writing this book, and then you can dive into your reading.
Yeah, sure. So this is called How to Get Your Space Organized When You'd Rather Do Anything Else. At least that's the working title right now. And I'm not explicitly aiming at ADHDers because I'd like to catch a broader audience if I can. Although I think I will suggest that ADHD could be something that's going on sometime in the middle of the book. It's what for me sets it apart. It's not primarily a decluttering book. In fact, it's more than that. I'd like to be able to, I think that when people try to declutter their spaces first and then get organized, they can be working a lifetime on that and never get organized. And that's a realization that I came to late. And I'd like to pass it on. And I think that getting organized can be a really great stepstone to decluttering. In fact, sometimes a necessary one. So I have a tactic of organizing by activities, not by spaces. And was really just explicitly aimed at people who've always found organizing especially difficult. So I'd like to emphasize, it has taken me a long time to come to this, but I'd really like to emphasize in the first place, getting to a place where you're calm and connected to other people and not feeling shame about being completely disorganized. And then where you can get curious and really creative about solving this problem. So, shall I read?
Yes,
I'll read.
Please do. Please do.
Okay. Having guests over is the surest way to get the house cleaned up. My mom used to joke every once in a while with her friends. Typically, the whole family would have been put to work, tidying, vacuuming, and dusting for several hours before. The best thing would be to have guests once a week, then things would always sparkle around here. I laughed right along, good girl that I was. A complicated little knot of mixed messages was tied up in that statement, but I didn't get around to pulling on the threads until many decades later. On one hand, there was warm camaraderie and the winking acknowledgement of hidden messes. A second set of assumptions, on the other hand. Guests are worth the effort. Guests shouldn't see our mess. Why would we clean up for ourselves? Years later, in my own household with young children, I was struggling mightily to keep up appearances. We were an isolated little family of messies in a beautiful German city. Germany, with its rich and varied shaming culture around household cleanliness, set standards far beyond my abilities even to fake it. Like clockwork, the prospect of any guest would send me into a tizzy. Swirling emotions would clutter my thinking, along with the physical clutter, which I would typically still be whisking out of sight as the ding-dong of the doorbell slowly faded. I felt despair at the thought that my home would never be good enough not to embarrass me. Defiance at the thought that it was not a job I asked for. Somehow, I would think, parking the vacuum cleaner in a random corner and tossing a pile of dirty socks and kitchen towels up the stairs, somehow this burden got shoved on me as the adult female person around here, just as the blame will be when my guest looks around and casually thinks, she's a bit of a slob. Shame would rear its head. Anger would flare as I swept up the boxes my husband had left lying out and dumped them in the hallway's closet. And then numb resignation. Emotions were swept aside too, and I went to answer the door with a smile. These then were the attitudes which I passed on to my own kids. I can only ask them for forgiveness. Many or most of us were taught shame as a motivating force for cleaning and getting organized from the time we were very small. Some of us, like me, and unfortunately my children too, watched as our caregivers modeled shame for us in subtle or not so subtle ways. Tragically, many of us were also actively shamed by our parents, teachers, and peers. Either way, we probably took on the job of shaming ourselves after a while. So thoroughly had we internalized the messages. If we had to keep ourselves and our things tidy and attractive, or else fear ostracism would feel the burden of our own unworthiness, well then, we were ready to do what it took. Shame does have a way of keeping us marching along in line, which can be useful to someone. The problem is it marches us nowhere good. If we obey shame and march on with our eyes cast down, we'll soon find we've marched right into a quagmire of isolation, hurt, and fear. When we act from this place, a few things can happen. We might flail around ineffectively, as I was, cramming the closet doors shut on that teetering pile of boxes. We might freeze and sabotage ourselves with even more isolation, emotional procrastination, and apathy. I'm sorry to say this is also my repertoire. Or we lash out and try to pull others down with us. Looking straight at you, world leaders, although most of the rest of us are capable of this too on a smaller scale. When shame sends us the memo that we're unworthy of love, connection, and belonging, it's lying, categorically. Unfortunately, that doesn't diminish its destructive power. Let's climb out if we can. We become so bogged down in our own failings and feelings that there's muck in our eyes. If we can clear our vision long enough to take a good look around, though, interesting. What we see is many, many other people up to their knees in the same Who would have thought we're in this together? We have options. We can meet each other's eyes with friendly empathy, take deep breaths, clasp hands, and begin to heave each other out. So that's the end of that chapter. And I'd like to emphasize that you have to come from a place of empathy that empathy is also a very good motivator, in fact, for getting things clean, and empathy for yourself. So, and then we have to get creative about our own solutions.
We really do. Thank you so much, Laura. I absolutely love that. You're getting a lot of love in the chat box as well. This is super relatable. Can already tell this book is about way more than decluttering. Your writing hits hard. And I was going to say, it's like it's evolved so much since I saw the first iteration of your idea, and I am so excited to read the rest of it. Like your writing is beautiful anyway, but just the ideas as well, smashed me in the face with that, and it spoke to me so much that, like I said, I know you said this isn't specifically aimed at ADHDs, but it spoke to me so much when I first heard the idea that you had and some of the writing that I've already seen, that I just assumed it was for me. And that is a really powerful indicator that you've really hit like you've nailed it with the people that you're talking to and how you're talking to them. So I'm really excited about this book. How do you feel about it now you've read your piece?
I feel good about it. I feel like there's a lot. I'm really just at the beginning, and it's still evolving as I write.
Yeah. And
so, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally normal as well. And like you've come so far since the first call as well. So I know it feels like there's a lot to do, but like you've done a lot also. And this is, what you've done so far is beautiful. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. What's happened since the beginning is, I think, especially that the writing has gotten a lot more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started very much about ideas, and it's gotten to be more about me. So.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you have embraced that as well, because it's not an easy thing to do. But I think it lifts writing so much, and it really builds that connection. And I have a look at the comments that people have put in, and you'll see it's incredibly powerful to kind of build that connection and to share that much of yourself with people. And Joe and Janine have done that as well with theirs. It's like that kind of vulnerable sharing of the parts of your story that you are willing to share. It's such a gift. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Okay, so next on my list is Misty, and I am going to share the screen. I've got Aaron's iPhone too. I'm gonna share the screen in a second and see if I can share Misty's video, because she sent us a video. But just before, I'm going to introduce Misty Santos. Misty is a sales and marketing consultant and systems genius, and she is the founder of Trifecta Sales Systems. She is also one of my besties. I've known her for years and years, and this program would not exist without a conversation that she and I had a handful of years ago. So you can thank her for that if you've enjoyed yourself. She wrote her first microbook with me during the very first round of MicroBook Magic, and her new microbook is titled How to Be a Thick-Skinned Saleswoman. It's her second book and one which I definitely need because I'm definitely a bit of a thin-skinned snowflake at times. So between you and Janine, Misty, this is going to be really good for women in sales, I think. She can't be with us in person today because I'm pretty sure she's traveling back, but she has sent this recording of her piece. So let me open this up. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Can everyone see Misty on the screen? Lovely. Okay. Misty, would you like to take it away? Hang on. I also need to make sure I'm sharing the sound. Otherwise, that's not going to work. Look at me remembering that. Okay.
Hi there, my name is Misty Santos, and I am the author of How to Be a Thick-Skinned Saleswoman. I'm going to read you the introduction to my brand new book, and I hope you enjoy it. How to Be a Thick-Skinned Saleswoman, the anti-Wolf of Wall Street approach to closing more clients. Sales is the most emotional part of running a business. Some days when money is tight, it can feel like everything you've built is hanging by a gossamer thin thread. Everything depends on whether you can close another prospect and add much needed funds to your dwindling bank account. I know how precarious your business revenue is some months, and that getting more people to hand over their credit cards is the only way your business will survive. The only way you can pay the bills is with a few more contracts or clients. The only way you'll make payroll is by selling more subscriptions. The only way you will feel relief is by adding another few $1,000s to that monthly nut. Given that 90% of female-owned businesses fail within the first 10 years, your business needs all the money it can get. You need to pad your pockets and close all the clients possible in order to give your business a fighting chance. Because your business rests on revenue, there is a tendency to put a lot of pressure on yourself to become the best salesperson ever. I know I did. I read all of Zig Ziglar's books. I signed up for all the courses I could find. I opted in for all the bro sales marketing systems and even hired a mentor to make sure I was doing it right. And yes, I learned a boatload of ways to try and persuade people, trick people, and belittle people into buying. But none of it ever really felt good. As a woman, as a reluctant salesperson, as someone who gets the total ick when it comes to taking people's money, all the bro tactics just simply didn't sit well with me. In fact, I started to dread sales calls. And it eventually got to the point where I was self-sabotaging the calls because I was so nervous about actually selling. I literally got to the point where instead of asking for the credit card on the call, I had tricked myself into believing that my client would buy better if I didn't close them on the phone. I told them and myself that I didn't want to put them on the spot and that I would send them an email right after the call so they could have a good think about it. In hindsight, I recognize now it was me who didn't want to be on the spot. But look, I'm no quitter. I wasn't going to crown myself as the world's worst saleswoman and let my inability to ask for a credit card kill my business. And so, in a fit of divine femininity, I vowed to throw out all my masculine focused sales skills that felt bad in my heart, and I decided to build a sales system that worked for those of us who were not pit bulls, not sales sharks, those of us who don't really enjoy the thrill of the chase. I decided to sell in a way that took away the pressure completely and focused on the three things that I am really good at. Number one, educating and familiarizing. Number two, listening and intuition. And number three, supporting and holding space. I knew that a sales process this sophisticated couldn't simply rely on the blunt force trauma of a pushy sales call. Oh no. The Misty way of selling would rely on good systems, great client education, and a sales formula I could repeat over and over again. My feel-good sales system would only use the skills I know entrepreneurs like me and other salt-of-the-earth people already have. The ability to educate, listen, and support people through a decision-making process. In addition, my system would amplify their brand, position them as a leader in their industry, and help people make the right decision for them at whatever point in their journey they were on. And so I built my new sales system and made $5 million. Yep, my system worked. My non-sales sales system actually crushed it. It worked for quick buyers, it worked for indecisive buyers, and it even worked when the world ground to a halt during the COVID era. And now that I've perfected it, it's time to pass it along to my business owning badasses so they can use it, tweak it, and make it even better. As you travel through this book, you will first navigate sales mindset, and then the 3 stages of selling, which, when you layer them all together, will totally eradicate the need for you to be a wolf of Wall Street. In fact, you could be terrible at selling, and you're still going to make tons of money. Beyond the mindset and the 3 stages of selling, this book is of resilience. This book is to remove stress from selling. This book is to give you the systems that reduce wasted time, wasted efforts, and wasted energy. The point of this book is to help you make money, even if you think you suck at sales. This book is going to be split into 3 lessons, and I am going to use my personal experiences as a sales expert to help you navigate the art of high ticket sales done in person, over Zoom, phone, and text. I will share with you what has worked for me during my many years of selling services to people all over the world. If you want numbers, I've probably sold in the region of 8 to 10 million products in the last 8 to 10 years or so. High ticket sales are my jam, so I can confidently sell programs and services at any price, if I believe in the value, of course. Via email, I've sold countless digital products, courses, and packages in every single industry you can think of. I can't even begin to put a number on the amount of money, my email marketing has brought in over the years for myself and my customers. I've sold dildos and boob enlarging creams. I've sold method acting programs and stage lighting. I've sold weight loss, fitness, and holistic health products, and not so holistic, if I'm being totally honest. I've sold to traders, hippies, executives, and entrepreneurs. So when I share my sage advice in the following pages, know that it's coming from a place of hard-won experience. In my last role before writing this book, I was selling 7 figures per year in the executive coaching space to people who'd been laid off, downsized, and fired from what they thought was a safe and solid, secure leadership role. This role demanded I kept the dollars rolling in as the world was devastated by the pandemic. So let's take a deep breath and read on, soldier. Lesson 1 is all about mindset. Yeah, let's get the woo-woo stuff out of the way first, shall we? I'll make it quick and painless, and then we'll dive into my proven 3-stage system that will help you triple your close rate and make your metaphorical cash register sing. Read on. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tantalizing snip of the introduction to my new book, How to Be a Thick-Skinned Saleswoman. Stay posted. It will be available for your reading pleasure shortly.
Oh, thank you so much, Misty. I know everyone enjoyed that because I've been enjoying the comments in the chat box. But yeah, Misty really has spent the last few years really building this incredible sales system. So it's fantastic that she is, for somebody else, by the way, so it's fantastic that she's now building something for herself. And yes, Aileen, you are 100% right. She does have the perfect voice for Audible. She's got a great voice. We used to joke that she should do those phone sex things. She wouldn't mind me saying that. So I hope that you have all enjoyed that. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much, Misty, which I know you'll hear when you are listening to the watching the replay. If anyone's got any questions for Misty, pop them in the chat and I will pass them on to her. And I will also get her to follow her on LinkedIn. I'll pop her LinkedIn handle in the chat in a minute so that you can have a look at it. But I'll also tag her in this later. So thank you. Okay, next up, we are going to welcome to the stage Trisha Nichols. Trisha is a visionary C-suite executive and rising wellness thought leader, blending a robust career in marketing with a passion for redefining modern well-being to inspire brands and consumers alike, which I find very interesting. Her portfolio includes iconic brands Gap, Estee Lauder, PepsiCo, and Under Armour, as well as emerging market leaders like Independent Pet Partners. That is a very eclectic mix. I love it. Known for driving consumer-centric innovative strategies, her career has earned her accolades such as the Lead and Forbes Defiant 25 and Brand Innovators Women to Watch. Love that. And Trisha has recently founded Wellbent Co., which I love that name as well, a consultancy dedicated to positioning wellness-inspired brands for growth. When she's not advising and brand building, Trisha stays busy as an angel investor, board advisor, and occasional adjunct professor. Her book is called The Evolving Consumer Currencies of Wellness, a brand's guide to navigating and leading the path to being well. It's a candid and insightful guide that redefines wellness for the modern consumer, moving beyond the old school notions of spas, yoga, and supplements. It introduces a fresh perspective on the everyday pillars of wellness and provides a witty educational roadmap for brands, products, and services to navigate the evolving consumer landscape. Packed with actionable insights, it's a how-to for brands eager to join the conversation and play a meaningful role in the consumer-led journey toward well-being. Now is the time to lead, innovate, and thrive in the pursuit of being well. I love this, and this is going to be so interesting. So, in a past MicroBook Magic, we had somebody who wrote about how self-care is not a bubble bath, and that was for like people, and this is for brands. So Trisha, would you like to unmute and tell us a little bit about why you're writing this book, and then dive in, please?
Yeah, so can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good, perfect. Yeah, I had a marketing background at various brands that you heard, and as I looked back at my career, I realized that I was really the happiest, so to speak, or maybe more intrigued with my work when it was touching on wellness. So believe it or not, like Estee Lauder, I worked on a skincare line, and that skincare line was built around sleep and how our body's circadian rhythm and our skincare products could sync with that natural circadian rhythm. At Under Armour, I worked on sleep pajamas to repair athlete muscles, like all kinds of interesting things you wouldn't expect. But as I sit here today, I realize that, the consumer, we as people are just demanding more from, our products to help us be well. So that's what the book is about. Okay, so I'll jump in. I'm going to read the introduction. This isn't your old school wellness. When you hear the words wellness or well-being, what comes to mind? Maybe visions of long spa days, yoga retreats, or shelves of supplements. Perhaps you picture a smoothie craze or someone meditating atop a mountain. For years, these ideas dominated the narrative, but it is evolving. Wellness is no longer an indulgence or an occasional luxury. It's a part of daily life, a pursuit influencing many decisions that consumers make. In fact, wellness is defined as just that, an active pursuit, a dynamic process of making choices that enhance our vitality and our balance across multiple life domains. From nutritional wellness to sleep wellness, digital wellness, environmental wellness, and much more, today's consumers are prioritizing their well-being like never before. It's a rapid and exciting shift, creating both opportunities and challenges for brands. Wellness is no longer supplemental to life. It's every day and it's everywhere. Here's an example. Every day I get messages from my news apps about this growing awareness. Just today, it was about how sugar affects the body, sigh, and what kitchen tools I need to toss out. True story. Consumers are constantly bombarded with information, and they're trying to make sense of it all, seeking brands and products that fit seamlessly into their pursuit of being well and living longer. If you're not already thinking or talking about wellness as a brand, you might be too late. Why? Because wellness is no longer a nice to have. It is a currency. Current consumers are actively pursuing it, expecting the products and services they use to support their well-being, whether that's helping them sleep better, live cleaner, simply feel more balanced. Brands that fail to embrace this risk being left behind. So you might be asking if this book is for you. This book is for brand leaders, marketers, CEOs, or founders that recognize wellness is more than a trend. It's a currency. It offers a modern definition and paradigm of wellness, presenting a fresh perspective on its everyday pillars and actionable guidance on how to join this consumer-led movement. If you're already in the wellness space, this book will help you refine your strategy. If you're wondering whether your everyday product could have a place in the wellness conversation, this book will help you get there. And if you're a consumer curious about how brands can support your well-being or what you should be demanding from them, you're in the right place too. Are there stats? Some, and some fun ones. But a stat can expire the very minute you write that down. It's important to look at the trend, and more importantly, look at logic. Being unwell and living longer will not become more popular. Finding a balance of wellness in our lives is here and here to stay. So am I a wellness guru or someone who spends their weekends meditating on mountaintops? Who has the time? But I wrote this book because I'm the target consumer. I'm the person who reads headlines about toxins, sleep optimization, or the benefits of sunlight, and then searches for products to fit those needs. Sometimes I find answers, sometimes I don't. And if my Google search is any indication, I'm not alone. It looks something like this. What temperature should my room be for the best sleep? Who makes the best non-toxic cookware? What is in weed killer? How can I get my kid into bed without it being a hostage negotiation? This is modern consumerism. People are asking the right questions, but they need brands to meet them with the right answers. So in this book, we'll explore 1, a new definition and paradigm of wellness, why the old model no longer fits, and what a new framework looks like. 2, why it matters for brands, the opportunity to connect with consumers in a meaningful and relevant way. 3, how to bond with consumers, using the currencies of wellness to create deeper brand loyalty and shared wallet. And 4, actionable steps, a roadmap to help your brand innovate, differentiate, and lead in this space. And I promise this book will leave you with new skills, the ability to craft a strategy and narrative for your brand that aligns with a wellness pillar, or as a consumer, the knowledge to demand more from the brands you love. Whether you read it cover to cover or just dip in and out as needed, I hope this book inspires you to workshop ideas with your team or simply reimagine what wellness means in your own life. So let's get started and be well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Trisha. This is going to be such an interesting read because I think there is so much about wellness everywhere, as you have just illustrated, and there are people asking for tips on bedtime. So I think you might have to write a second book for tips on bedtime, but also because it's really, I love that you are aiming this at actual brands so that you can help them do better and, you know, maybe avoid some of the wellness washing, which we know is going to come, like the greenwashing happened and all the rest of it. So thank you so much for sharing that. How are you feeling about your book now you've read that out loud?
I had to actually get the intro written to see if I was going to fall in love with my own content more, and not get, not feel sludge through it. The intro made me just really fall back in love with why to write the book. So it was like my reason to be. And then, the next chapter I want to write is about sleep because I think that's just so relatable. So I'm writing The Rising Power of Sleep. And I want people to read it because they should either ask more from brands or they are a brand that needs help. But I think this is where we're headed. And it's fun. It's actually fun to write. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad to hear that. And it is really funny how coming back to a book and writing, a little bit about the beginning or, taking a different part can help you, like you say, fall back in love with what you're writing about again. So I'm really glad that that's happened for you. Amazing. Thank you, Trisha, so much. I'm really excited to read your book, and so is everyone else. In the chat, we've got people who need to know about kitchen tools, which is me. Bedtime tips, please, for Joe and Laura. Louise says these books are all awesome. Yes, they are. Love this. Very intriguing. Great summary of what you're covering. So needed, and great intro about wellness. So relevant to every consumer. We do deserve more. We do deserve more. Yes. I too can't wait to read this. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Next up onto the stage is the lovely Laura Chamberlain. I'm going to do a little intro. So Laura is an award-winning professor of marketing at the University of Warwick. She's also a marketer, career strategist, and coach. Laura is the founder of Think, Talk, Thrive, a professional development and career strategy agency. And what Laura also isn't saying here is that she is I don't even know, like a talented, amazing, like honestly, she does so many things. But yes, helping people to learn, spark ambition, and nurture growth is central to everything she does. With 20 years experience and backed by research, Laura takes a practical approach to transforming professional development. She definitely bridges academia and industry, working with businesses and individuals, giving keynotes and writing a column for Marketing Week, which is extremely cool. Laura is here to show you that resilience doesn't have to be negative and exhausting. She is ripping up the rulebook and flipping the frame to embrace resilience as a powerful and positive force. This book is for everyone who is juggling work, life, and everything in between. It's practical, relatable, and funny. It is funny. And Laura will spark your thinking and actions with small, manageable steps that actually fit into your life and might even make you smile along the way. They will. Small but mighty, this book is rocket fuel for your personal and professional growth. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about why you are writing this book and then dive in.
Thank you. What's the short version of why I'm writing this book? I'm writing this book because I have a very personal story about resilience, which I will tell in the introduction to the book. I once called myself a cockroach, but I'm not telling that story today. I'm actually reading an excerpt from chapter 1 today. But I guess what we referred to in that little lovely intro was the fact that I kind of hit upon my thing, which is helping people. And I do that in a myriad of different ways. And so when I started to learn about resilience, as I reflected on the journey that I'd been through, I realized actually that there was a really different way of thinking about resilience. And it wasn't just associated with the big things that happen in life. And there are things that we can all do every day to build our resilience, and see a lot of benefits from doing so. So that's why I'm writing this book. And I wanted to read a little bit from chapter 1. Perhaps I'm bucking the trend here because I feel like everybody else is reading from their introduction, but I've got a sort of an abridged excerpt from chapter 1.
Perfect.
So, sometimes I get a little bubble of overwhelm that sits in my chest. It usually happens when I've taken on too much. I'm spinning too many plates or feel like there are too many tabs open in my brain. That bubble of overwhelm can grow, expanding into my chest or throat. It can rise up and feel like it's taking over or starting to suffocate me. Thankfully, though, it can also be popped, quietly shrink and dissolve, or float away into the distance. That bubble of overwhelm is my early warning signal that things are getting on top of me and I need to be resilient. Of course, there are other times when I need to be resilient too, when life throws a big curveball in my direction. Interestingly, the majority of psychology research on resilience has focused on the big stuff, how we respond to traumatic events or significant challenges we face. My work on resilience has led me to realise that we use resilience in lots of different ways, in different contexts, and it's not one thing. Resilience is very useful when the big stuff happens, but we can also use and develop our resilience in our day-to-day lives and benefit from doing so. Compared to the big stuff, it's easy to think that the day-to-day things we might be struggling with are insignificant in comparison. They aren't comparable, but that's okay. It doesn't mean your day-to-day experiences don't matter. On the contrary, they matter the most because what we experience every day, how we think and feel, is the foundation from which we grow. We can then build on that foundation so that we are able to deal with the bigger stuff when it happens. When I talked about my bubble of overwhelm, I set myself up a little bit because I said it's when I know I need to be resilient. That bubble is my resilience bat signal. The thing is, resilience is not a switch we suddenly flick on when we need it and turn off when we're done. It's always there. I like the idea of a resilience lamp that we turn on when it gets a bit dark. Instead of the lamp having an on-off switch, I like to think of the lamp being permanently on, but with a dimmer switch that we can turn up and down. The lamp analogy works for me because resilience is a process and not an outcome. When I first learned about this, it made me realise that I had seen resilience as something to achieve. I used to see resilience as a grim badge of honour, like a grimy, tarnished medal someone had pinned to my chest that signals, well done, you got through some really awful shit. And ta-da, here is your prize. You are officially resilient. There's a problem with this way of thinking because it doesn't allow room for growth. Once you've achieved your resilience badge, you know you've got it and don't really pay attention to being resilient anymore. It's easy to think, I got through the really hard level in life's computer game and I don't want to repeat it, but if I have to, I'm a qualified resilient person, so I know I'll get through it somehow. We align outcomes thinking with goal setting. It's what we've been taught. Goals can be really useful in some contexts, but they can also be limiting. Imagine you're standing at the bottom of a mountain. Someone hands you a photograph of the summit and says, that's your goal, get there. They don't mention the path up, the equipment you'll need, or how to handle the weather. They just point to the outcome and wish you luck. That's essentially what we're doing when we focus solely on goal setting. If you want to hear more about the problem with goal setting and the sneaky hidden traps we all fall into, you can find them and practical ways we can build our resilience and have a little bit of fun whilst doing so in my upcoming book.
Thank you so much, Laura. There are so many wisdom bombs in just that short excerpt. So, and if you have a look at the chat, you will see that. Thank you so much. How are you feeling about your book now that you have read that piece?
Good, thank you. I am really excited to finish it. I'm very nearly there, and I just really can't wait to sort of get it out into the world and hopefully help one or two people.
It's going to help more people than that. I have to also absolutely give you so many props because everybody has different ways of working and everybody has worked so hard on this book. But I was boggled when Laura said, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. And was it 4 o'clock?
I get up at 4:30 to write, yeah.
4:30 to write. And that's what she's been doing. And, you know, you've got kids, like anybody who writes books with kids as well, which I think is most of the people in this room, except for me. So I'm like, you guys are incredible. Like, honestly, I've been so impressed with everybody's commitment to this. But 4:30 in the morning, man, that's a commitment.
Past me would not believe I'm about to say this, but I actually really enjoy it. Like, it's my quiet time before the house wakes up, and I crack on for an hour or so and get going. I love it. So I'm honestly having a blast doing this. So I can't thank you enough, Vicky, and everybody else.
This is a great group. They're always great groups. Thank you. I tell you what, though, I get up at 5:45 in the morning and I hate getting out of bed, but I love being up. So I totally get that. Thank you so much, Laura. That was awesome. Right. And our final showcase star is, drumroll please, Erin Flaxman. Erin is a global agency veteran with 25 years experience pitching and partnering with the world's most iconic brands. She specializes in crafting go-to-market strategies for agencies and small businesses, whether launching their brand, building their reputation, or growing their client base. Her microbook has one of my favorite titles of all time, and I'm going to let her share that in a second. But it's all about how to pitch well without losing your mind. Erin and I met on a different training course earlier this year, and I thought she was brilliant then. And I was so chuffed when you decided to join MicroBook Magic. So I'm so excited about your microbook. It's going to be super fun read. So Erin, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for joining us. What made you want to write this book? What's the title? And then you can dive in.
Okay, great. So I'm not going to tell you why I wrote this book yet, because that's basically what I'm about to tell you in the reading. So that would kind of be a bit of a spoiler alert. So so basically, thank you so much. This has been great. For those of you who don't know, Vicky and I met on a public speaking sort of communications class. So hopefully I learned a little bit during that time, and I'm going to use it today. So I will jump right in if that's okay.
Please do.
So welcome everyone to the introduction to my new book. It is called Resting Pitch Face, coming in 2025. It's a guide to navigating the chaos of pitching while keeping your sanity and your sense of humor intact. So, are agency pitches as glamorous as Mad Men and Melrose Place would have us believe? The short answer is, I wish. In reality, they're more like being trapped at a party where the host invites their most competitive friends, throws in a murder mystery theme, and insists everyone stay until the bitter end. Some guests are in elaborate costumes, others are still trying to figure out the rules, and a few are plotting their next move in the corner. All are wavering between excitement, confusion, and the creeping realization that it's going to be a very long night. Simply put, an agency pitch is a blend of competition, creativity, and chaos, sprinkled with just enough curveballs to keep even the steadiest nerves on edge. But here's the thing. Pitches are so much more than nerve-wracking theatrics. They're exciting, challenging, and often involve trips to far-off places, or at least hotel conference rooms in far-off places. They come with surprises, some pleasant, some, well, not so much. I wrote this book to share the good, the bad, and the absurd parts of agency pitching, so you can learn to overlook the nonsense and get straight to the good stuff. That, my friends, is the heart of this book. So you may be asking, is this book for me? Well, I certainly hope so. But to clarify, it's for anyone who's ever been at the mercy of an inflexible prospect, an impossible deadline, a clique of mean girls, or a room full of giant egos trying to fit in a small conference room. If none of that resonates, perhaps you're tired of plastering on that, sure, no problem smile, while internally screaming, seriously? They want us to do what now? Either way, welcome. You're in the right place. So why did I decide to write this book? For years, I've been telling my friends stories, all names and confidential information redacted to comply with NDAs, of course. And their reactions have always been the same, shock. I've pitched almost every category from automotive to retail, tech, and pharma. And trust me, each one has at least one story worth sharing. Over time, I jotted them down, and I came to the conclusion that pitching, though chaotic and stressful, can actually be pretty fun. Or should I say funny? Surprise. I wasn't always great at dealing with the stress part. I was actually terrible at it. I know a few people who will agree with that statement. But hundreds of pitches later, I have learned to overlook the drama, the office politics, and frankly, the BS. I do my best to focus on the work, my team, and myself. Oh, and winning more often. The intention of this book is to help you get to that point faster without stumbling as often as I did. So what will you hear over the following pages? We'll cover what I lovingly call pitch falls, the anxiety of first impressions, the roller coaster of last-minute plot twists, the chaos of team drama, and the art of recovering when it all goes sideways. Some of these stories may seem surreal, but trust me, they're real. Although I've taken the liberty of adding a little color here and there. You'll also meet a cast of characters who've taught me valuable lessons along the way. Names have been changed to protect the guilty, but if any of them sound familiar, well, I can't help that. I'll also show you how I developed my resting pitch face, that unshakable confidence that says, I got this, even when everything around me is going completely pear-shaped. So to set the record straight, this book is not really about how to win. It's about learning to roll with the nonsense that gets in the way of winning. By the end, I hope you'll be ready to tackle any challenge, armed with a few new tricks and a resting pitch face unique to you. And if all else fails, well, there's always therapy.
Thank you so much, Erin. I love that. And Janine has summed up exactly what I think about this book, which is even if you're not working in an agency, it's going to be worth reading just for the stories, because we all love a confessional. We love seeing behind the scenes. We love seeing the dirty little secrets, because we're all human and we love a good gossip. So I am really excited about this. Thank you so much for sharing. How do you feel about it now that you have read your piece?
Good. Now I just need to write the rest. But you know, that aside, I think also the things I need to work on are that it's not really just for agency people. You know, it's for anybody who's like on the hot seat and gets stressed, or someone who's running projects that knows, you know, like it doesn't really have to be a pitch. It could be a big project that you're running where all this crazy stuff is happening around you. Everyone that works in an office has drama, has, you know, stress, project deadlines, all the things. So that's what I have to work on throughout the book, is to make sure that what I offer are the lessons that I offer can apply to multiple people, not just people from agencies.
Yeah, and they will, and this is one of the wonderful things about the format that you've chosen for your book, because you know you are writing it for people, and you know, people who are where you have been, but it's going to have that wider appeal, because anybody who has been in that kind of environment is going to find some of these stories familiar, and they're going to want more. So yeah, I think it's really well placed to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and also thank you so much for everything. I know I'm the last one. You really helped us all a lot. So thank you to you.
Thank you. You all don't realize how much I get out of this as well. Like I learn at least as much as you lot do. So this has been such an amazing experience for me every time. And you know, I'm just always blown away by the ideas that people bring to MicroBook Magic, and this season is no different. So as you can see, there are so many different ideas for books here from so many different industries and perspectives, and it's just like, and also like my guest is also absolutely flabbered by, you know, how hard and enthusiastically people have worked, and how generous you've been with sharing your ideas with me and with each other, and you know, and how enthusiastically you've participated in the space as well. So thank you all so much for sharing your ideas with me and with this audience and with the world. And thank you for trusting me to walk alongside you while you bleed onto the page as well. It has been my absolute honor and privilege. And I'm going to go away and have a little cry later, because I always do. I'm always like, oh, this has been so great, and now it's over. So yeah, I'm going to do that. We have got a few minutes. So in fact, we're quite ahead of time. I was like, oh, I'm going to leave like enough of a gap for everything to run on, and I have been uncharacteristically efficient today. So we have got a little bit of time. So if anyone in this call does have any questions, please do ask them now. You can pop them in the chat box or stick your hand up and I will unmute you. And I think there are also I think I have managed to stream it on LinkedIn as well, which I'm gonna celebrate quietly later. So I'm gonna just have a quick look and see if there are any questions on there. But tech loves me. Yes, tech does love me. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few people commented on the LinkedIn post as well. So people asking for links and things. So please do go onto the LinkedIn post afterwards as well, and share on there. And I will also share things. So yeah, anybody want to ask, share, or chat? Nobody has to. Oh, Aileen does. Aileen.
I just wanted to say that I've been enthralled listening to you all. It was really, I sort of came thinking I haven't really got time, but I just sat back and listened, and it was all fantastic. And I've now got 7 books that I'll want to read next year. So thank you. And even if I'm not particularly needing your advice. I just think it's all very, very interesting. So yeah, well done. Look forward to seeing some new books next year.
Thanks so much, Aileen. Aileen was in season 5 of MicroBook Magic and recently published her book called Eat to Run. And I'm not a runner anymore, but I am loving Aileen's book because it's really helping me to eat less like a toddler. So that's good. And she's also about to publish her second book as well, which is a journal that she's been working on. So I'm just going to put that out there in public because I know that you want to, you want to have an accountability for that. So this is really exciting.
Yeah, and I think that I was thinking actually there's a couple of people when I was listening, I was thinking, oh, you could be writing some kind of a journal or a planner alongside your book to sort of complement your writing. So
yeah, 100%. Thank you, Aileen, for coming along and for staying and for sharing such a lovely comment. So Louise has also said, I really enjoyed that. Pleased I came along. I'm pleased you came too. And thank you to Liam, Nick and Natira as well for coming along and supporting and finding out what was going on. It's lovely to have you here and I hope you enjoyed it. So maybe as you have been listening to this, maybe you've been inspired to write your own book. That would be really cool. And if that's the case, I'm very excited for you. It is hard work, as everybody in this room will tell you, but it is totally worth it. And if you would like to join a group like this to do so, well then, season 7 of MicroBook Magic, I can't believe season 7 of MicroBook Magic will begin in March 2025. Can't believe it's 2025 and I don't have a hoverboard. There are only a maximum of 10 spots available with 5 VIP spots. So if you would like to find out more and get onto the waiting list, you can click the link in the chat box, which I'm about to put in there. And as soon as I open the doors in late January, I will send you the joining link before I officially launch it to the general public. So you won't miss out on a spot. I'm just going to put the link in there if you want to find out more, or if you know somebody who might want to write a book, then pass it on to them because I would love to speak to them.
I thought this process, I put that in a note to you, but I love the templates actually. I liked the way that you posed questions to us in those templates and we answered them. And I found myself as I was writing, going back to the template and seeing what I said and like pulling from them a lot. So I want to, I kind of went my own weird way around this, talking into my phone and whatever I was doing all the time, sending myself emails. Whatever. But I loved the process. And I think it now there's a blueprint there. And it's something that, I just thank you so much for putting it together. It's great. This is great. Are we going to get to see each other one more time? We have one class left? Or do we?
Well, we can absolutely have a reunion class. Yeah, I added an extra class on last time as well because I'm terrible at saying goodbye to people and letting go of stuff. So yes, I will. I'll speak to you all afterwards and we'll get together again. But thank you so much for saying that because this has been this is season 6, so this has been through quite a lot of iterations, and I'm always trying to make it better and better, and make it work for people. And I'm always hoping that I've created something that you can fit around how you work, because you know me, I don't never want to be like, this is the one true way of doing things, because there is no such thing. So that has really made my day. Thank you so much for saying that. And I will be talking to all of you separately and finding out what went well for you, what you think could be better, because I want to make this better every single time I do it. But yeah, mostly I'm just really excited about reading your books and seeing what comes of them. So has anyone else got anything they want to hop on and say just before we finish up?
Just that you're not going to get rid of us very easily, so you better be prepared for that. I know I have a couple calls scheduled with you, but I do think that I may be your annoying little friend on the line. Just a heads up on that.
I love that. I collect cool people, so I'm very fine with my cool people hanging around. And I'm not. This isn't the end. I am not going to just disappear and let you go. So for people who aren't in MicroBook Magic, this is the kind of the showcase at the end of the 8 weeks that we are together, but the Voxer group will stay open. You still get access to the power hours until the end of the year, which you are more than welcome to come and join. Now that we're not having the coaching calls anymore, and I will be popping into the Voxer group from time to time and being like, "How's it going? Got anything to show me?" And just generally being really irritating.
I would love to see everybody's covers when they get them figured out. Like that would be so fun to see, to now take kind of your book and your intent and the tone, and then I would love to see how the cover comes to life for people.
I would love for people to share that in Voxer as well. And actually, people have found that really useful in the past as well, to be like, I can't decide between these two things. What do you think works best here? And what works best there? So yeah, getting a little bit of feedback on that kind of thing is always really, really helpful. And for anything else as well, like layout ideas and launch ideas, and I've put a bunch of stuff in the resources area, and I will keep adding to the resources area as well. But yeah, anything that you find that's interesting or useful related to books and book publishing, send it to me, and I will add that into the resources section as well, because I want to give you as much as I can to get you actually finishing this and publishing it, because you've worked so hard already. So. Okay, I am terrible at saying goodbye, so I'm just going to say